So 250 years ago, right now, the revolution was well underway. The American Revolution had been started. The Continental Congress was meeting in this building, Independence Hall. And one thing I've been doing every day is just checking letters that the Founding Fathers wrote back and forth to each other. So I figured I'd check today and see if I find anything interesting and share it with you. I've got my laptop right here. So I'm gonna be looking down and checking for letters. Today is July 19th. On July 19th, 1775, there were 4 documents to John Adams from William Tudor, to Benjamin Franklin from Jonathan Williams. General orders. Okay, let's start with general orders. Parole derby. That's it. No explanation as to why there were no general orders. Next, let's look at To George Washington from John Hancock. Philadelphia, 19th of July, 1775, introduces the bearers Mr. Ogden and Mr. Burr of the Jerseys, quote, who, quote, visit the camp not as spectators, but with a view of joining the army and being active during the campaign. Your dispatches reached me last evening. I shall forward you the papers immediately. The results of Congress you shall know as early as possible, end quote. Footnote number 1. Wait, let me check. The address includes the words favored by Mr. Burr. Okay. Footnote number 1. Mr. Ogden and Aaron Burr grew up together in the house of Burr's uncle in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Following the battles of Lexington and Concord, Burr, who was then studying law in Litchfield, Connecticut, wrote to Ogden at Elizabeth, proposing that they join the American army outside Boston. Ogden at first declined to go, but after the Battle of Bunker Hill, Burr went to Elizabeth and persuaded his friend to come with him. Both young men accompanied Arnold's march to Quebec in the fall of 1775 as unattached volunteers. Ogden was wounded at Quebec on 31st of December, but joined the 1st New Jersey Regiment as a lieutenant colonel in March 1776. He was promoted to colonel on 1st of January 1777, and in October 1780, he was captured in a skirmish with the British at Elizabeth. Following his exchange the next spring, Ogden resumed his duties and remained in the army until April 1783. Burr returned from Quebec to New York City in the spring of 1776 and apparently served for a few weeks on George Washington's staff before becoming an aide to Major General Israel Putnam on 22nd of June. On the 4th of January 1777, Burr was made Lieutenant Colonel of Colonel William Malcolm's additional regiment. He resigned from the army on 3rd of March 1779 on the grounds of ill health. Footnote number 2. Congress took George Washington's letter to Hancock of 10th and 11th July 1775 under consideration on 19th of July. For Congress's actions, see Hancock to George Washington, 24th of July, 1775. I read this letter, George Washington to Hancock on 10th of 11th July. You can go to my video from 11th of July, 1775 and listen to that letter. Next, let's read to Benjamin Franklin from Jonathan Williams. I want to save the John Adams letter for last. Okay, this is an incomplete and draft from Jonathan Williams Jr., London, July 19th, 1775. Dear and honored sir, yesterday, being the day appointed by Lord Dartmouth, I waited on him. But he, having a greater number of gentlemen at levee than he could attend to, I was desired to call again today, which I accordingly did. On my entering, he said, Mr. Williams, I have only to tell you, I have delivered your petition into the King's hands, but things are in such a state, no regular agent here, and American matters being wholly under the consideration of Parliament, His Majesty did not answer it. The petition remains in His Majesty's possession. I returned. Then, my lord, I am to say, the petition was presented, but His Majesty did not condescend to answer. He said he would not have you write anything that may make an unfavorable impression on the minds of the people of New Jersey. The King could not, with propriety, give an answer, and I do not consider my conversation with you as official. I then answered, my lord, I shall not speak, or I shall not presume to be an authorized agent for the colony, nor as such write an answer to the Speaker of the House, but I shall do it through Dr. Franklin and leave the mode of communication entirely to him. He said very well, and I retired. Since I returned from Lord D, I have seen Mr. Lee, who told me he received the first petition, and Lord D returned it to him without presenting it. I am happy that my endeavors have been more successful, though in effect of as little use. I have, however, some satisfaction in having got it into the King's hands, although it is unanswered, as it leaves a possibility of its being again taken up, for which reason did ask for it again. Endorsed to Dr. Franklin, July 19th, 1775. And as usual, the footnotes are out of order in Dr. Franklin's writings, so here we go. Number 8, differences between the two are inconsequential. We print the bulk of the letter from the AL, which stands for autograph letter, and the remainder from the draft. Footnote number 9, JW. Jonathan Williams Jr. received the duplicate of the New Jersey petition enclosed in Kinsey's letter to Benjamin Franklin above March 26th and assumed that the original had been returned to America with Benjamin Franklin's unopened mail. Earlier in the month, therefore, he tried to deliver the petition to Dartmouth, who made some difficulty about his lack of credentials and asked him to come back. JW to Kinsey, July 12, 1775. Footnote number 1. See the note on the letter just cited from Kinsey to Benjamin Franklin. Footnote number 2. The AL autographed letter breaks off at this point. Footnote number 3. A deleted sentence in the draft clarifies the meaning. Quote, I did not think proper to demand it again, as remaining with the Majesty, it may be again taken up, though I think there can be no probability that it will, end quote. It apparently was not. At the end of the year, the New Jersey Assembly appointed Dennis DeBert, Jr. as agent and instructed him to try to get an answer to the petition. Force, etc. Okay, we have no evidence that he succeeded. Finally, to John Adams from William Tudor, 19th of July, Cambridge, 19th of July, 1775. Dr. Sir, I am much obliged by your letter of the 6th instant, and will now attempt in part to comply with your request. Things have remained tolerably quiet between the continental and ministerial camps for a week past. The beginning of last week, a detachment was sent in the night to take all the livestock that was on Long Island. They succeeded and brought away not only all the quadrupeds, but 17 fellows who were on the island in the service of Gage as mowers. The next day, orders were issued to make another descent and destroy the buildings. 10 whaleboats, manned with 12 or 15 men at 10 o'clock in the day, notwithstanding a constant fire from the ships of war that lay near the island, landed and set fire to all the buildings, destroying all the hay, etc. on the place. On their return, they were attacked by the man-of-war's boats, whom they fought and kept at bay till they reached the shore, then fired so briskly on them that they thought it advisable to retreat. Our people lost 1 man, but brought off every boat. Since the arrival of the Continental generals, the regulations of the camp have been greatly for the better. Matters were in a very poor way before. The general was despised. There was little emulation among the officers, and the soldiers were lazy, disorderly, and dirty. The generals, Washington, Lee, and Gates, were respected and confided in, and their orders strictly and cheerfully executed and obeyed. And I hope we shall soon be able to meet British troops on any ground. The freedom which our countrymen have always been accustomed to gives them an impatience of control and renders it extreme difficult to establish that discipline so essential to any army, which, to be invincible, ought to be a grand machine, moved only by the commander of it. Discipline will not inspire cowards with courage, but it will make them fight. The day after the arrival of the Adjutant General, I had a letter from him acquainting me with his having directions from the Commander-in-Chief to offer me the place of Judge Advocate to the Army. I immediately accepted the post, and have every day since been busy at court-martial. The Lords Coke, Holt, and Hale have made to give way to your Congressional Military Code. There never has been a regular court-martial before now, by reason of their wanting some person to methodize and conduct the business. The Congress have not mentioned such an officer in the Articles of War, but were they to attend a court-martial, they would see the importance and necessity of such an appointment. The office is very honorary, but the stipend is not sufficient. General Gates informs me that the pay is equal to that of a captain's vis-a-vis I don't know what that stands for, vis-a-vis maybe? £6 a month. I must keep a horse in order to attend both camps at Roxbury and Cambridge. A report must be made of the whole proceedings in every trial to the Commander-in-Chief, which makes a great deal of writing, and the salary is too little to pay a clerk, who will be wanted of the business. The court has set for 6 days running from 8 to 3 o'clock. The evidence is all taken down in writing and then copied for the inspection of the generals. In so large an army as we have, there must necessarily be much business for courts martial. I find in the regular army, the judge advocate has a stipend as such and draws pay as an officer in some regiment besides. But with us, it would not do. I must beg you to set this officer in a proper light and to get such a stipend fixed as shall prevent my being out of pocket at the year's end. You know my situation, sir, and will therefore excuse what would otherwise appear mercenary in this request. Your declaration has been publicly read by the chaplains through the army and received with great applause. The address to the inhabitants of Great Britain is generally approved, but some think there is too much conceded, considering the state we are now put in. The spirit of freedom glows with unabated ardor. As to difficulties, we have been so used to them that now occur without occasioning concern. While the horror of war ceases to alarm because it is familiar. Footnote number 1. That Tudor report from time to time, day-to-day occurrences. Number 2, General Artemus Ward. Number 3, Horatio Gates. Footnote number 4, Sir Edward Coke, Sir John Holt, and Sir Matthew Hale, standard English legal authorities, whose works were frequently resorted to by American lawyers. Footnote number 5, Tudor was appointed Judge Advocate on 14th of July, his appointment being confirmed by the Congress on 29th of July. His complaints about his pay caused it to be raised in September to $50 per month. He continued in the post until 9th of April 1777, having been promoted to lieutenant colonel on 10th of August 1776. Okay, those are the letters for July 19th, 1775. If you like that, please leave a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.